Could the offensive line and offensive struggles as a whole be the reason Weston Davis flipped his commitment from Texas A&M to LSU?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thursday evening, we saw 4-star, even listed as a 5-star some places you check, on 3, I believe, offensive tackle Weston Davis flips his commitment from Texas A&M to LSU. Now, we're going to kind of break down my thoughts on this as a whole. I've seen people on Twitter freaking out, and I've seen people on Twitter saying, oh, well, it is what it is. Looking at this, breaking this down, every big-time commit the Aggies lose, I begin to be more and more concerned. I like to be positive here at Locked On Aggies. All y'all everydayers know that. Today, I'm going to kind of shed some light on why this is concerning to me, and it's a conversation we had in the offseason. You know, I talked about how all of these talented players that the Aggies have been landing and recruiting over these past 2-3 long time. So at some point, these players, high 4-stars, 5-star guys, are going to look at this and go, if I'm a highly ranked 4-star, 5-star player, I can go anywhere I want. I can go to Alabama. I can go to Georgia. I can go to LSU. I can go to Ohio State. I can go to Michigan. Well, maybe not Michigan with what's going on, but I can go wherever I want to go. And a lot of those players have been choosing to play for Texas A&M, have been choosing to play for Coach Fisher. NIL has helped. Lots of different factors have helped. But at the end of the day, they've been choosing to play their college football at Texas A&M. Some of those players, and we might be seeing this, and this was the concern for me, would they eventually start to go, I love Texas A&M. I love College Station. I love the coach. I like the coaches, but they're not winning football games. They're not winning the amount of football games they should be with the talent on that roster. And that's the way I'm sitting and looking at this, is going, if I was a player, if I was a Weston Davis, if I was a Drelon Miller, and of course, Drelon Miller decommitted somewhat recently, and everyone's saying he might go to LSU. He was talking on social media after Weston Davis flipped, saying, acting like, oh, wow, wasn't expecting that. But if I'm one of those players, I want to go somewhere I can win. And look at the optics of this. This is I think someone used the word optics, which is a great word, a great conversation to have about this. Look at those two positions, those two players that decommitted play. Davis, who of course did flip to LSU, and Drelon Miller, who just decommitted, but people think he might head to LSU. Drelon Miller plays wide receiver, of course. Weston Davis plays offensive line, offensive tackle. What have you seen from this season that makes you go, I really want to go be a part of that as an offensive player? Adazio and the offensive line unit have been horrible this year. I mean, just not good. If I'm Weston Davis, when do you get concerned about coaching? When do you look at this offensive line and go, wow, look at all the talent they have on that offensive line, and they aren't good? Am I going to go there and not develop? And am I going to go there and have a rough career? I mean, is that where his head's at? I don't know. Obviously, I can't confirm or deny that, but that'd be a concern for me. And then for a guy like Drelon Miller, I look at this and I go, okay, I mean, look at Evan Stewart, incredible player, but he's just, the numbers just, he's catching 50, he's getting 3 receptions for 50 yards a game. I get, like, what I'm saying is I get why these players might want to, I get why these players might not, want to go elsewhere. Look at the offense at LSU. The offense at LSU right now with Jaden Daniels and Neighbors and all that talent over there is currently like competing with Joe Burrow's breakout season, the year where he was great. They won the national championship. That's how good their offense has been. And if I'm looking at this, if I'm a player, once again, and I'm this talented like Davis, like Miller, I can go wherever I want to go. I might want to go where the offense is scoring points, the players are raising draft stock, they look great, the offense is flowing, you got a somewhat new coach and things are looking up, recruiting's going well over there. Why would, and I think that is the concern, the big picture concern for Texas A&M is what's going to happen if you don't start to win football games. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen people, this is just my opinion on the matter. If you all disagree, no big deal. I've seen people on Twitter saying, well, if we went out, he'll flip back. I don't believe that. I don't believe even if you win out that you're going to get these guys back. I think that if we don't see a lot of flips and then flip backs, it's not usually you might see one and then that's kind of it. I don't think you're going to see Weston Davis and Drelon Miller. I do not believe will be in Texas A&M 2024 recruiting class. And losing Davis specifically, I mean, once again, that's a big deal. This offensive line hasn't been great. Hasn't been great. It's a little kind. You need more talented bodies in that room to hopefully continue to get better and better. And you lost one with Weston Davis deciding to flip his commitment from Texas A&M to LSU. So this is getting concerning for me. And like I said, we talked about it heading into the offseason. Heading into the start of the season, during the offseason, I said, listen, I think you got to win. I think you got to win or all these talented recruits are going to start to go, I'll just go somewhere where I can win. Is this the start of that shift? I don't know. Losing two highly ranked guys in a couple week span has me concerned. And you still got guys like Cam Coleman. I have a friend over at in the Auburn market who covers recruiting really well for them. And he hasn't heard anything. Basically, he's been kind of arguing, saying he thinks there's a chance Cam Coleman could flip potentially to Auburn, potentially to somewhere else. Terry Bussey, what's his deal going to be? Could he go somewhere? You got a lot of talent left committed in this class, and people are starting to get concerned. Can you hold on? Can you hold on to Bussey? Can you hold on to Cam Coleman? There was talk of Dalen Evans flipping a long time ago. I haven't heard much about it since, but point is, I think the look of this program needs to take a shift soon, or I'm concerned. Now, once again, I know Connor Wigman goes down. Things happen. You can't make all these excuses. At the end of the day, recruits, I don't know how much they care, but stuff hasn't gone Texas A&M's way a lot this year. A lot of it bad play, a lot of it coaching decisions I don't agree with, a lot of it losing your starting quarterback who was off to a great start to the year. But here's my concern. If you're barely winning football games with 4- and 5-star talent, what's going to happen if you start to lose your 4- and 5-star talent, and your recruiting classes aren't as talented and you're losing these players? How are you going to win then? That is my concern. I think if Coach Fisher is going to bump into a good season, bump into a national championship run, he is going to have the talent to do it. Elephant in the room, we're all concerned about what's going to happen in the transfer portal. Could you see some of these guys leave? What's going to happen in the portal? There truly is things to be concerned about when it comes to Texas A&M's football program right now. You can't hide from this conversation. We can't hide from this conversation here at Locked On Aggies. Losing recruits, if you lose one, that's why the Drelon Miller thing, I was like, okay, I get it. So, you're going to lose some. This happens. Once it became Drelon Miller and Weston Davis, and both of them, one of them flipped to LSU, the other one is highly considering LSU. That's when I started looking at this and go, I get it. Look at the optics of these two programs. Look at the directions of these two programs. LSU had a couple years where they weren't great at the end of the Ed Orgeron regime, and then you bring in Coach Kelly. Things are looking up. I get why players might want to go. you're looking at a 4-3, but I've seen some people, well, LSU's lost some football games they maybe shouldn't have this year. I agree, but if you're an offensive player, look what that offense is doing. So I am concerned, yes. Losing these recruits concerns me. If it's just, if it was just if there was a reason, like if we knew the reason that they've flipped, I wouldn't be, get it. It's going to happen. You're going to lose some of these guys. But the fact that they're committing to, I know the SEC West is going away, but committing to an SEC West rival, who's, played great so far, that is definitely concerning. I'm definitely concerned with this. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Weston Davis commitment before we talk about ranking the remaining games on the schedule. We'll do that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good, full flavor and well-crafted, just like a full-strength beer. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning and beat out full-strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft non-alcoholic beer, including IPAs, Goldens, Sours, and more. Athletic Brewing Company sent a six-pack when we partnered with them. Stuff was incredible. The taste is just spot on. Great non-alcoholic beer. You really got to go check out Athletic Brewing Company. I promise you're not going to regret it. This stuff is awesome. Not going to regret it. You got to go give them a chance. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. We also got to talk about our wonderful friends over at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get last-minute tickets. Me and my dad are planning to head to a football game here in a couple weekends, and we were talking about it. We were on the phone. I was looking at different places. I was looking at StubHub. I looked at the different places, and then we pull up Game Time. Game Time prices beat them. They're always going to beat them. Game Time is the best place to get your tickets. Get them early, get them late, whenever. Game Time is your place. I promise. I use it. My dad and I use it. We love it. You have got to go check out Game Time. It is the best place to get your last-minute tickets at the best prices for all the sporting events, concerts, comedy, whatever you want to go to, they've got you covered. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase when you download the Game Time app. The last thing I want to talk about, talking about Weston Davis and Drelon Miller a little bit before we get into ranking these remaining games, is I just think that this, and we'll tie this into sort of a conversation. I have LSU as the most important remaining game. I think you could kind of back and forth flip Ole Miss and LSU, but I think what we're seeing right now going on, you could argue, makes this game more important. You're fighting with LSU for these recruits. You've already lost a highly ranked offensive tackle. You've lost a highly ranked receiver. Hasn't committed to LSU yet, but everything we've heard, it sounds like it's going that direction. Go beat them. You beat them last year, beat them this year. We've talked about, I think you have to beat LSU or Ole Miss to salvage the season. I mean, you're 4-3. If you beat one of them, you go 8-4. If you beat both of them, if you win out in the last 5 games, you go 9-3. I don't think the Aggies will win out. I do think they can find a way to steal one of these games. Both of them being on the road is not my favorite thing in the world. But if you beat LSU, perhaps this can kind of help on this recruiting front, change the optics. We talked about going into last season, the excitement and hype that win over LSU brought because, hey, look at this Connor Wigman kid. He's going to be good. He's the guy. This team could be good. This team's going to develop. We got all this talent. It's young. It's going to be great. Potentially you could see a similar situation. If you win that game, your final game of the season, maybe you could kind of see hey, okay, we're flipping the tide on this a little bit. We're figuring things out. We're getting better. Stuff is moving in the right direction. I think you could potentially see that if you're able to beat LSU. But no, I think that you do. You have to be concerned about Weston Davis flipping to LSU. I mean, because to me, it's like I look at this and I go, yeah, Adazio, the offensive line coach at Texas A&M, hasn't been great. The offensive line has struggled. His goal is to go play in the NFL. If I'm looking right now, I believe LSU has a better chance to put me there based on everything we've seen, all the numbers that offense is putting up. So, I mean, I get it. I get why this young man wanted to make this decision. I'm not sitting here upset at him, and I know Texas A&M fans should be. It's just, you're going to lose recruits sometimes. But at the end of the day, we got to figure this out. And this is why I said you got to win football games. This is why another reason salvaging the season is going to be so important. I've talked a ton, tirelessly about the 2024 season and how if you find a way to win, if you find a way to beat Ole Miss and LSU or beat one of them and set, 8-4, we've talked about how easy the schedule is next year. We've talked about how all that. And I get it. I get the Texas A&M fans no longer want to do the whole, well, next year, we're not doing that. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is things do set up for success next year if you can hold on to some of this talent, if you don't lose a lot to the transfer portal. So closing this season strong is going to be a big deal. You do not want to lose a lot of talent to the portal. You do not want to see half your recruiting class decommit. So, yeah, the Weston Davis decommitment and the Drelon Miller decommitment are concerning to me, without a doubt, no question about it. But at the end of the day, you got to figure something out. Things have got to get better, and you got to just trust in this coaching staff to make those changes. Do I feel great about trusting in this coaching staff to do that? No. But at the end of the day, it's kind of what we're just going to have to do here. But after losing Weston Davis, the recruiting class currently sits at 8th overall in the nation. So dropping a few spots after losing Miller and Davis, this is concerning, but we can still close this thing out well. Hopefully we see that play out. Now, like I said, we're going to rank the remaining games on the schedule. LSU is number 1. I talked about why, just because that game's always weird. There's a lot on the line when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to keeping recruits, maybe bringing them back somehow. That's why this is such a big football game. Now, when it comes to ranking how, the chances I think the Aggies can beat LSU or Ole Miss, this is a little interesting because it's almost a deadlock to me. I mean, I know Ole Miss is ranked a little higher, but I'm a believer in the importance of opposing atmosphere. And the atmosphere at Ole Miss just isn't what the atmosphere is at LSU. I don't know if we have a time yet for the LSU kickoff. I don't think we do, but let's say that's a 7:00 game. I mean, playing there at night is scary. I mean, it's a loud place, as everybody knows. It's one of the best atmospheres in the SEC in college football, right up there with Kyle Field, right up there with some other places. So, LSU, I think that Ole Miss maybe it's just a little bit better. I think that both of these teams have elite offenses. The problem is the defense. Everything I've heard and looked at numbers, I think that the defense for Ole Miss is just a little bit better, and that's why I think that they were a little bit better. So I think that the LSU offense is a little bit better than Ole Miss's, and I think that the Ole Miss defense is a little bit better than LSU. So this is a really even which one's more important. But I just think with the recruiting stuff mixed on top of it, I think the LSU game is the most important of the year. And I also think that's going to be the last game of the season. If you go and get boat raced in that game, that's going to be concerning. If you lose, let's say you're able to beat Ole Miss, okay? You're able to beat Ole Miss. You win those 4 games, and then you lose to LSU in the final game of the year. You lose by a touchdown in Baton Rouge. I think people are going to feel a lot better than if you lose by 25 or 24 to LSU on the road. I mean, that's going to be concerning to people. You want to end the year with something that's going to create hope. So we need to see that against LSU. Then I have the Ole Miss game. Like I said, that's going to be a battle. You're going to have to find a way to score points. You're going to have to find a way for the defense to continue to be great and stop that elite offense. Then I have the South Carolina game that's coming up on Saturday. I think that you could argue the South Carolina-Mississippi State game, once again, are kind of neck and neck, but I just think Rattler, we don't know what the health is going to be like for Will Rogers. It sounds like he's not going to play this weekend. We don't know what his health is going to be. And Mississippi State, I just think South Carolina is just a little bit better than Mississippi State, to where, yeah, I'm more concerned about the South Carolina game than I am the Mississippi State game. Rattler's a good football player. I always say this. He is always liable to come out and throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns against you. He has those big games all the time. You got to make sure it's not against you. With the secondary issues we talk about all the time here at Locked On Aggies, we know that is a concern. That can be a concern. So that's why I think that South Carolina is a team that just a little bit scares me more than Mississippi State. But then I have Mississippi State and then Abilene Christian last. You have got to find a way, as I said, to win 4 of those 5 football games. It would be incredible if you could find a way to win out. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? No. But you got to start this Saturday with the win over South Carolina. It's a good way to start. Cross one of them off, get 1-0. 1-0 on the week, make that happen. But no, I definitely am concerned about the LSU and Ole Miss game. You have to steal one. I think 7-5 this season. I mean, you can't go 7-5 with a top 5 with a roster that's top 5 in talent in college football. And then those that say, well, you lose you lose Connor Wigman. Max Johnson is still a good enough backup that you got to be able to win some of these football games with the defense you have, and that just hasn't happened. And I'm telling you, you can't go 7-5. Do I think they'll get rid of Coach Fisher at 7-5? I don't personally, but especially if you make it 8-5 with a bowl win. But you just can't go 7-5 with his talent. That is extremely frustrating. So that is the ranking of the last 5 games and my final thoughts on the Weston Davis flip to LSU. Now we're going to talk about a little basketball update that has me incredibly concerned. We'll talk about that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to go bet over and under on every sport, everything, whether it's basketball. Will a Rockets player will Jalen Green or Sengun have over 18 points? Will Tony Pollard have more than 76 rushing yards? Will, in the World Series, will Corbin Carroll go over 1.5 home runs during the World Series? These are the things you can bet over and under. It's a ton of fun. It multiplies your money every leg you add to the parlay. I love Prize Picks. It's just a ton of fun. It makes watching sports more fun. You have got to go check it out. You will not regret it. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. So we got a weird update about Texas A&M forward center, whatever you want to call him, Julius Marble. Here's a tweet from Carter Carrolls. Everybody was tweeting it out, but Texas A&M basketball forward Julius Marble is not permitted to participate in team activities due to a university process that is ongoing, per head coach Buzz Williams. Williams said he could not give specifics on the situation. This is one of those, I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to sit and make of this. It is definitely concerning. I hate it when, now, I'm not mad at Buzz. I'm sure he's not able to share what's going on, but what is going on? Why don't we have Marble? Is he in trouble for grades? We're not going to sit here and speculate what it is. I mean, to me, if I had to guess, it would be not doing well in class. If I had to guess, just based on the wording of that, but you need him out there. That's what makes this. Can you still be good with Coleman and Radford Can you still be good with these guys, with Radford and Wade Taylor? Yeah, I think you can be. But at the end of the day, you need Marble out there. He's one of the reasons there's so much hype around this team. He's a returner. He's a talented player. He's going to go out there and rebound the ball well, have good presence down low on both sides of the offensive and defensive side of the floor. So you need Marble out there, and I'm definitely concerned if he's not. We look at this, and I'll tell you, I mean, I think you're going to need all of those returners to have this really good season we've talked about. We've talked about how good Texas A&M has been predicted to finish. I've seen first, I've seen second, I've seen third in the SEC, all over the place. This is the top 2 or 3 team, and if not the best team in the SEC. Tennessee's ranked 1 a lot of places, and frankly, I think the Aggies are better. So this is definitely a worry. You got to hope before the season gets rolling that he's back out there doing stuff. And he's not allowed to practice, I assume, based on not permitted to participate in team activities due to a university process. That's got me concerned for practice. Getting a feel for your guys. I know there's a couple transfers. You got to have a feel for your teammates, and not having that worries me. You still got a lot of talent in Boots and in Coleman and in Wade Taylor, but at the end of the day, you need Marble out there. We need to see him back out there. We need to see him, whatever's going on, resolved and him back on the court soon. We will be talking a lot more basketball when the season rolls around. It's going to be a ton of fun. I love talking hoops. I love talking baseball. We'll talk about both of those sports here a ton at Locked On Aggies. And, of course, everything going on with football. Thank you all, everydayers who have stuck through the painful losses with me. I appreciate it. Those of you that watch every day, I thank you all for what you do. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day today. When it comes to post-game show, I have a lot of responsibilities on Saturday. I got a different things I have to cover. So I'm going to do my best to get a post-game show out right after the game goes final on Saturday. If not, it'll be up first thing in the morning Sunday. So be ready for the post-game show breaking down the LSU. I got LSU on the mind. Breaking down the Texas A&M South Carolina game. Have a great weekend, y'all. Have a great Friday. I appreciate you, and we will see you for the post-game show.